Welcome back to the Electrify podcast, brought to you by the creators of Electrify Expo, North America's largest EV festival, coming to a major city near you. So here we are again, Electrify News. Just had an awesome event out in Arizona. My son was out there announcing e-skating, not exclusive to EV. We like to have fun here. We're going to send it, literally, with our guest here today. Join us, Toby Henderson. Look him up. This dude is an absolute legend on two wheels, and he's trying to change the game. And joining me once again, a man of many two wheels himself, Mr. Tony Donaldson. Tony joining us here. How excited are you to have Toby on the show, Tony?
Oh, are you kidding? He's a legend. He's been a friend for 36 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Since I moved to California and started working for BMX Plus magazine, and then using like box components and all that stuff, which are just fantastic. So, yeah, I'm a fan all the way around. He's a good guy. He's preserving the history of BMX with bmxaction.com.
Right.
Is it?
Yes. bmxaction.com.org. Yeah, all that. Yeah.
Okay.
.edu. We're gonna drop some knowledge here.
Not that. But.
And if you can't see him, Toby's got a shirt on. Syndyt. Syndyt. Love it. Love the name. I'm all about sending it. I just announced events, though. I don't actually send it. I just talk about it. But Toby, your background, BMX, mountain biking, all this. But why are we talking to you today? E-bikes.
Well, I'm getting old, and a little bit of cyst doesn't hurt me a little bit, right? So I think that's about it. No, it's funny. I don't know, many years ago, one of my staff said, "Let's take an e-bike ride." And I'm like, I'm against it. All my friends, I'm a hardcore mountain bike guy, training my whole life and all that. Went on an e-bike ride with one of my employees and loved it. The next day, bought the best one I could get, and ever since then, it's been 5 years ago. Ever since that's all we ride is e-bikes, right? And I have a 19-year-old kid. He's been grown up on bikes now. He's all into e-bikes. It's just that whole assist thing. So anyway, I'm into it, and I'm here because I think the future is that. And I think we're going to see a lot of stuff in the future. From the technological side, we're seeing a lot of companies come in and changing the game in a lot of different ways. And I just want to be a part of that. That's happening. You're in the beginning, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no. And like you said, like Pastrana says, with age comes a cage. I guess with age comes e-assist. I don't know.
Assist, yeah. I'm not climbing any more mountains on myself. I'm going to do it. So I've been doing it my whole life. I'm over that. So, yeah.
Yeah, Tony, what do you think about this and what he's doing there? What is he doing differently that you kind of admire?
Well, a couple of things. Okay, this is not the E side. The BMX frame is one of the most beautiful I've ever seen. That design is just amazing. But to complement that, to get kids involved in two wheels, he's got an entire line of electric balance bikes. And what sets those apart is they have all the plastics on them and all the stuff to make it look like a motocross bike. And who wouldn't want that?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Well, kids love stickers anyway, and they'll sticker the thing up like crazy.
And I'm seeing they're sold out, man. I'm looking at, the SYR 120, 12-inch, 16-inch, 20-inch. You've seen what Stasik's done over the years. And, here you are. And I think you're right, Tony. Like, this just feeds into the moto. And this feeds into, dude, your BMX frame is absolutely beautiful. Gosh, I love that. That frame is sick.
Thanks.
Isn't it?
Wow, dude, that is so slick.
Yeah, we showed that at the USA BMX Grand Nationals in November. It just went off. Just absolutely went off. We have 12 teams, hundreds of kids on these things. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know if it's the name, the frame. I don't know. Luck. I don't know. A lot of it. But it's going well. So.
It's Toby, you're being too humble, man. It seems that, and again, this is a crowded space, bikes in general and the cost. So what's a bike, an e-bike cost a consumer? Like, what are we looking at here numbers wise?
Okay. So the BMX frames are $700 for the frame, but the e-bike one's from $1,000 to about $1,300. I'm just finished up the battery technology. I had to build my own battery. I wasn't happy with what was out there. I literally built my own case. I got all my UL testing, all that stuff done. I just wasn't happy with what I saw. And I think to be successful, like you said, it's a crowded space. I think we have to enter the market with something different. And that way we stand out, we draw the people we're targeting, and we hope we can bring those people to what we think is cool. And we got something very, very unique. And I was always a moto guy, but my mom wouldn't let me race moto. I wanted doing it. But anyway, when I was a kid, that's how I wanted to be a bicycle guy, right? So, but I always wanted to be a moto guy. And I think the whole look is something that all the dads wanted. They want that plastic. They want that place to put the graphics on. So we just kind of created something like that. So.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Cool.
Tony, yeah, what do you got? What do you got for Toby here?
Well, where did the idea come from? Like what set you onto this path for that?
Well, it was eBMX in general. I'm going to be careful today what we talk about, only because there's a bigger plan, a longer vision on the whole thing. And I just came back from Tulsa meeting with USA BMX and the stuff we're going to do in the future. There's a lot of insurance issues and all this kind of stuff that goes along with all of what we want to do. So it's going to take some time. But during that process, I looked at what Stasic was doing. I looked at how well they were doing. And I took what I thought they needed, and I just kind of elaborated on that, which was the plastic, different battery, the look, some of this kind of stuff. So anyway, yeah, so it came from, my aspirations for motocross and what I thought the other guys weren't doing. And I just happened to have a friend that had this plastic available because the plastic itself is pretty expensive to tool up. So I was able to pull that all together and build these bikes. About 18 months to do that. Most of the time was just the battery technology. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this big giant battery that goes about 2.5 hours with each bike. But if you want to race it, the battery pops out and snaps in kind of like a tool battery, but it's only 1/3 of its original size. So now you're going to go 30 minutes and get rid of all that weight. So instead of having 39 battery cells, you'll have 13, right? So the bike becomes a lot lighter, a lot more agile to race. So that was kind of what we wanted to do, was to create something that, you can ride around in all day, but if you want to race it, it's ready to go. So.
And the size wise, you have 12-inch, 16-inch, and 20-inch. So you're saying, start them on that. I know, again, my son had a Stasic when Harley bought them, right?
Yeah.
So he was one of the first of the 12-inch Harley one, and then so 20-inch. So you're saying that's for adults.
Well, I think 20 inches is about the time beyond that. If we're going to do eBMX, let's talk about pedaling and some of the things we don't want to talk about. But I think at that size bike, that's the time. It's not a balanced bike anymore. You're old enough now to pedal a bike, and you don't to handle the bike. So I think 20 inches is the max when it comes to throttle. Right beyond that's what we're moving into to do more than just the throttle and have a lot more fun and use those jumps on the BMX track to get some air and all that stuff. It's coming down the pipe for sure. So
that's cool. And I mean, I'm just gonna call it. It's saying sold out. So what's going on here, man? Are they just
we haven't delivered
blowing doors?
Yeah, it's been a battery thing. I haven't sold any of the B bikes yet. The BMX stuff, yes, but the bikes I have not. So it's just they're coming. Yeah, it's a lot to test a battery and to make a battery.
Yeah, let's go into the battery for a second.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 13 cells versus 39.
Right.
What's the charge time on those? Like, could you, if you're running motos, for example, and you want to use the smaller battery, how long does it take to charge one of those? Like between
the 13 is going to take about 30 minutes to charge, but
Okay.
at that point you probably want to have two. And if you look what Stasic's doing, these guys all have 6-10 batteries in their trucks, right? But they're only lasting 30 minutes or whatever. And they have this big joke at the races. The kid comes in and gets a battery and a diaper change. That's like the big joke at the races. So because it's a young group of kids riding these things. So, but those are only about 30 minutes. Now the big one's 2.5-3 hours to charge, right? But the kid can go ride for 2.5 hours. And that was the one thing I didn't like about the other competition was they just couldn't ride the bikes long enough, right? They'd swap those tool batteries all the time. I tried the tool battery thing. I couldn't get that done. So then they kept making these big old giant batteries, and that's not for me. So we had to literally draw and build our own cases of our batteries to get the weight down, to get the size down, make it look cool, get some cooling fins in there. And anyway, so that's that. I learned a lot about batteries. Thank God for ChatGPT.
Use an 18650 or 21700?
I use 21700s. Yeah.
And my son, again, he's now 10, but a couple of years ago, he was just all about the Stasic. We're here in Southern California, those AME races over at Glen Helen, and those dads, they're hot rodding those things, man. And that's, I have friends at Stasic, and they so they're going to burn out the motor, right? So they're putting those, Makita or Snap-on or Milwaukee batteries on there, but you're going to compromise something. So like you said, you got to find that happy compromise. I love the idea of having like a hot rod battery that's short burn, and then you have your kind of all day. And I think that's a great solution for these kids to really have fun.
Yeah, I don't know like what the percentage of racers will be on it, but most of the kids I think are just riding around the neighborhood or on the backyard or whatever. And more 30 minutes is just not long enough.
Yeah.
I felt right.
Sure.
But if you're going to race it, you don't want to carry all that weight around. So we came up with this concept of this 2 different batteries. So you get a race battery and an all day battery, So, and the race batteries are a little hopped up a bit to get that punch out of the line and hopefully give you a little bit of squirt when you go off the jumps, right? So,
Yeah, and I don't know if you've been out to those races, but the dads and the moms and the
yes.
parent, they're charging, they're plugging in, they're doing this battery. Hurry, get to the line! It's a really cool. What I love about it is just, I mean, shoot, we didn't have this kind of stuff when we were kids. Now you're still a kid at heart, right?
Yeah, and I just went to one in Lake Elsinore a few weeks ago, and probably 1,500 people watching, and there's about 300 entries. It was
Yeah.
It's not small by any means, right? I've been to the factory where the Stasics are made. They're pushing a lot of numbers out there, so it's a pretty healthy business to be involved in, I think. So, and not a lot of players. So,
Yeah, and I liked what they did, how teaming up with Harley, they're and then they did their plastics or their colors. They did different menu. I thought that was really smart. So I'm kind of seeing what you're doing here and what's going on, and all the bikes and how. And again, it's just celebrating the bike culture.
yeah, I think we want to just kind of drive the whole thing ourselves. I've
Cool.
been doing. I quit racing in 1998. And I started developing products back then. So I've been doing it for 25 years now. And I think on this one, I just want to do it what I feel everybody likes and what I feel I've been learning over the last 50 years.
Yeah.
And I think we really got something people are going to appeal to with the name, the look, and all that stuff. And there's stuff coming down the pipe. And my engineering team's about ready to pull my head off. They're like, you want so much so fast. I'm like, yes, but it has to look like this and it needs to do these things. And they're just like, man, you want the world, but we're going to pull it off. And we've only been at it a couple of years or less than a couple of years. So we're getting somewhere. We're pretty excited about it.
It's crazy, the access right now, like you can source all these things between the batteries and this evolution. Tony, we always talk about this on the podcast of just the evolution of where it's at, but also safety. Like you said, UL testing and all these e-bikes, some are a little sketchy, but when it comes down to it, if it is Jackrabbit, Super 73, they're pushing it in the proper way. It's not just these knockoff bikes. Sounds like you're really putting in the time because got one shot,
Yeah, you need to show up right the first time for sure.
Yeah.
Who's making your batteries? I mean, who's assembling your?
It's an Asian battery company. It's nobody special. It's just, it was funny was as I was looking off the shelf stuff, I just wasn't happy with anything. And I finally found a young group of guys who had a battery company at Eurobike last year. I said, I want this thing. And there's a young kid there, he's an engineer, and he thinks, I can do that for you. So I said, I'm going to give you a shot at it. And back and forth, about a month and a half, he figured it out for me. Basically, there's no air in it. And, so it's just the size of the battery cells with the BMS inside, right? So we had a little bit of room for that. But the fact we can click it off and click it on like a tool battery was all key. And then you had to design the bike around that. It has to fit, come out, go back in. And think about 39 batteries, how long that is. It's a long battery, right?
Right.
And then cooling fins and, race look and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it was.
And then building geometry that fits kids around that.
Yes. You got the seat, the fenders, you got the gas tank. You have to worry about all this stuff. I guess we can call it a gas tank, right? So anyways, so, yeah.
What ages are for each of the sizes of bikes, roughly?
Yeah. So the 12s, I think 3 to 5. 16's 5 to 6 or 7, and then it's like 7 to 9, something like that for the 20. Depending on how tall the kid is, right? So there was a lot of work that went into how high that seat sat, how I got the front of the bike up so I can get the front fender to look the way it is and get the handlebars in the right position. And so a little bit of work to do that, get the grandkids out there and say, hey, sit on this for me and measure them up real quick to see if we're in the right spot. So there's a little bit of time to do that. But yeah, so that's it. And I think, like I said, beyond that, when kids start becoming 7, 8 years old, they're pedaling, right? So that's why I feel like there's a whole nother thing going to come. And these are just to get our feet wet. Everything we're going to do has the same battery system. All the platforms will have the same battery. So that's been widely invested in that whole thing. But we're excited about what we're going to show everybody in the next few years for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the specs here. Disc brakes, no suspension, right? It's like hardtail, right?
These are rigid. Yes, the suspension's next generation. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, rear suspended, everything. Yeah.
Well, you got to think price point too. I mean, just you get somebody like Razor that they make these electric motorcycles and stuff like that. And you talk about numbers, talk about distribution.
Yeah.
Speaking of distribution, what are you planning to do? Going direct to market? Are you going to be in, LBSs? Where are you at?
Well, we're going to have independent reps do the bike shop and the motorsport stores for sure.
Cool.
Right. And then we'll have online sales as well. So distribution isn't working. We try to do that, but there's just not enough margin in these things to have a distributor involved. So we got a group of outside reps. We've signed up 9 of them so far.
Cool.
They're going to hit the ground running when they arrive, and they're going to focus on bike shops and motorsport stores. So yeah,
your Del Amo, your Malcolm Smith Motorsports, right? Just all those, right? That's
right. So Dad walks
easy.
in and he's buying himself a motorcycle, and I just throw that on the loan, right? Just
there you go.
Get his kid something on the way out the door, right? So
well, then Dad can ride with the kid.
Exactly. That's the kind of idea, right? So
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, again, just with my 10-year-old and even he'll be 18 here in July, but he had all the toys and all those things, and gosh, it's just so cool to see, and that's because essentially what you're doing is, like you said, at Lake Elsinore or Glen Helen, Southern California, we're so spoiled. We have all these awesome tracks around here, but you're teaching them balance and bike and confidence, right? Just putting
racing. I mean, I've been doing it ever since I was 12 years old or younger. So yeah, I think it gave me the lifestyle that I have, or I think the discipline, that's a better word, to do the things I've done in my life. And I think racing is a big part of that. And there's a lot of kids who love that. And I'm hopefully going to give them some machines that really make it fun for them. Right. So yeah.
Go ahead, Tony.
Oh, I just, I was just thinking about how smart it is to have that in the motorsports stores and motorcycle shops and that kind of thing. So are you going to put together any sort of a team for races?
Yeah, I haven't really approached that yet. We have a kid on all the samples now, racing Lake Elsinore. He's been whooping everybody on him and stuff. So we already have a few out there and some guys on them. And that's just been more testing stuff, but they're racing them at Elsinore, at Glen Helen. They've been racing these things. So, and we've got a lot of good feedback. We do have a hub motor versus STACYC, a mid-drive motor or gearbox motor. So one of the things I didn't want to do is that we didn't want these things to fail. And I wanted the dads to be able to do what they want with them. If they want to fix them up, I'm out, but they can change the controllers. They can use that huge battery to their advantage. And with the hub motor too, we got it to where it can get a pretty good start out of the gate, but the mid and long and high range of a hub motor, they fly. They're absolutely rocket ships. So
yeah, it's almost got
low maintenance, right?
Yeah, there's no maintenance on a hub motor. If you burn that out, the wheel's gone, right? So yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's almost like a gyro too. That's I didn't even think about that. Like you said, compared, there was a crazy, like, again, love the product. Gosh, you founded STACYC. I met him years ago at the Harley show when they bought him. What is it?
His name's Matt. I don't know his last name.
Yeah. Rag. It's not Raglan. Yeah. Anyways, it is Raglan, right?
Yeah,
I think that's it. So they had this design flaw where if you overran it, it would pop the fuse, and the fuse was in like the down tube. So you had to like take everything off, replace it. I was like, dude, do you know that flaw that they have?
We don't have that flaw because we have a hub motor, but I heard about that. They've had some things they've had to deal with, right? That's what takes time. I think people sometimes don't understand how long it takes to put a product to market. You just can't think of something one day and a month or two later it's to market. No, it's a 2-year, 3-year process in a lot of these things, right? So I don't know how long they're thinking about this, but they've been out for a few years now and quite successful. Yeah. So congrats.
No, I feel like they're a good unit of measure, and they've helped progress this kind of this angle. And so who's killing in the pedal bike market outside of yourself, obviously, but like who do you really admire right now? Because you're like, okay, I got this, but I'm going to refine it this way. Who do you they're doing a good job.
Well, until Syndyt, I was just a component company the last 12 years. I had a bike company 12 years ago called Intense BMX, in which I was a licensing name from Intense Mountain Bikes. And that was real successful. That was in I think we got rid of that company in 2011. So I've only been doing components up until Syndyt. So I think we're kind of leaders on the component side. Tony talked about that earlier.
Absolutely.
Yeah, titanium steer tubes and all kinds of things. We just came out with a titanium handlebar. Took 3 years to make a tapered titanium BMX handlebar. Wow. But it's 40% lighter than the chromoly stuff that we've been selling. We sell tons of that. $400 retail. We got 100 of them coming the other day. And I thought, oh, man, they're going to be here for a while. And a month later, the staff's like, where's the handlebars? I go, we have plenty. No, they're gone. So people have no problem spending $400 on a titanium handlebar for BMX if it's that nice. So
Yeah,
that's some of the stuff that we do. We just kind of push the envelope on that. Box is known for oversized technology. We have 35 millimeter spindles, 31/8 handlebars, 20 millimeter axles. Stuff I learned as my mountain bike career. I learned a lot of that stuff in my mountain bike career, how oversized actually is much faster than the rocks. So anyway, so I think, for that and the rest of the guys out there's some pretty good BMX guys out there, a lot of small guys, but there's a few good guys that really pay attention to the sport, like Chase BMX. I think those guys are great. J&R Bicycles, they have a line called Speedco. There's some good guys out there that are in the sport for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking all the Hex Lab oversized titanium handle. Yeah. And it's crazy what these athletes are doing with these damn bikes, Red Bull Rampage and stuff. Holy cow, bro. Like,
yeah, but they're building on the shoulders of giants that came before them.
No, totally.
So, yeah. I mean, it was Jose Yanez that did the first backflip. And since then, it's, if you don't do a backflip and something else with it, or like 6 backflips, you're not doing a trick.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking at your website here, and I'm looking at Box, just seeing the different athletes you have. Vincent Tupin, right? Red Bull Rampage.
Yeah. Elliot Lamar, So we have 2. We have a mountain bikes division and a BMX division at Box. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's impressive. And yeah, I was, this is probably 10 years ago. I was cycling a lot, and I went to Moab and did outer bike, and I almost busted my face on an Intense Tracer 275. I'm a 29er guy. That 275, that's not enough mass, dude. I went over the bars. It was it Captain Ahab? Oh man, it was, yeah. So it's all good, but it's impressive. So who do you like I say, I always think it's interesting, like what companies you admire, maybe not even the bike space, like who's kind of doing some things. And are you a car guy? You got to be. I mean, you're a hot rodder, dude.
Oh yeah, I'm a car guy for sure. I'm an electric car guy. So we have Teslas, and I've had them since they came out, and I've always been. And it was never really the green thing, and for me, it was acceleration. And then like the whole bike thing and the car. It's just like, man, that's where the whole electric thing's coming from. I just see a huge future in it for everywhere, right? Cargo bikes, electric cars, so all the things that we're doing. So, I bought a power washer the other day. It was electric. I mean, so this is the way things are going. And yeah, so who's doing cool out there? I don't know, man. I really enjoy the motocross guys. I think that's just a passion of mine. I think that they always have some cutting edge look, some of the colors and some of the things they do, some of the protective gear I really like. Yeah, I just look at the moto guys all the time, right? So,
right, Troy. I mean, even Troy Lee, Fast House, like all these companies, even Seven. What Malcolm was doing there, and yeah, you're right. And gosh, another segue there is to how gnarly is Supercross right now? Like it's just attrition, man. They are just right, Tony. Like,
yeah,
I can't. It's like watching UFC now. Like it's just violent. Like, are they gonna chill? I mean, Ricky Johnson and McGrath, and like you said, these giants of yesteryear, and now you're seeing what Jet is doing. Sorry, just kind of a tangent. I'm like, dude, these guys are just breaking themselves off. Like, do you think they need to dial it back a little bit in Supercross? What do you think?
I don't know. Why not somebody doing a little grandstanding and go and Toby, you'll get this. Go all Todd Lyons and throw a backflip in the middle of the race.
Right. I think they're too busy trying to win the race, at that point. But
well, Todd knew he wasn't going to win, so he figured a way to get into the magazines.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, they say
Jared's right, though. I think that the guys are just – I don't think it's going to back it off, quite honestly. I mean, I watch it religiously every Saturday. My wife knows that that's the time. Just forget it. You're not going to find me. So, but because I'm a fan of it, I think. But it was funny as I look at the uniforms, I look at the color blocking, look at all the things these guys are doing. I get a lot of my inspiration from that. And I've watched the uniforms go from really wild to plain, and now they're wild again, and the colors are becoming. So it's like they seem to always be a little bit step ahead of everybody else, so.
Yeah, no, inspiration comes from everywhere. And obviously, Toby, pardon my ignorance, like I said, right before we hit record is, I had to look you up, and then I'm like, oh yeah, dude, this is, I mean, and you look at the shift of, if it's Rad, the movie or whatever, and just BMX. My dad owned a bike shop back in the day, actually. So I had a I had a Schwinn on Skyways. Oh, it was great. It was a good one.
Now
Yeah,
you're
but
dating yourself.
yeah, I know. But again, if it's Bob Harrow or GT or Todd, and we're talking about all these, Brett Tippie, I was bringing up his name, and I've announced some Red Bull events with him, and just seeing where it's going, it's really impressive, and I love that you're contributing in the way that you are, and you're not kind of stuck in your ways, because sometimes like, oh, like, you're metaphorically, you pull a cigar out and you're like, oh, kids these days. No, you're like, oh, kids these days. Let's get them on these balance bikes, right? Let's get them. And you're still progressing the bike, which I think is really cool.
Well, I think a lot of that comes from my riding career. I think when I rode, there was a lot of things I didn't have as a rider, things I wanted. And I can tell you hundreds of stories of asking the factory to make me something. They tell me I don't need it. And I said, no, do it because of this. And one quick one was, back when I raced mountain bikes, we had a flat handlebar. Tony might remember how far back we had a flat handlebar. And I wanted a riser bar. And my factory's telling me, no, you don't need it. We'll just put a stem, and we'll put your bars in handlebars where your hands where you want them. We'll just do it through the stem, because they weren't bending handlebars very well back then. I'm like, no, but the leverage ratio, when you swing that handlebar, it's a different feel. You might have the same number, but it feels completely different. So I had a lot of those experiences where it's a feeling, and it drives my engineers in my office now, where I come to them and I go, that doesn't feel right. Well, quantify feel. I can't quantify the feel. I can quantify it for 20 years as a pro rider, but I can't tell you a number, but it's a feeling. So I think all things that we try to do at Box and now with Syndyt, I'm trying to get it from a feeling that you can't get as if you're just an engineer, if you're just some, I don't know what I would say, but you got to have some writing background. So we've always been hanging the hat on the fact that my writing background is kind of inspiring these products, right? And trying to make those cutting edge. And then it makes it fun for me, because at the end of the day, I love what I do. And that's the most important part, right? Is that you have a good time doing what you do. So,
yeah. And it shows in the passion that you put into all the products.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but yeah, I do love it.
No, it's impressive. I'm just looking again, just at so again, Syndyt, SY. It's right there on a shirt if you're not watching it, but spell it out, SYNDYT. Yeah. I love the name. Like I said, I think it's really creative.
Yeah. And the moto guys did the logo for me. Actually, I'm not a best logo guy, so I had a moto guy do the logo. There you go. So
yeah. It's classic. It looks so good. Again, the website that. I'm really interested in this frame. I mean, I'm a big dude. I'm 6'4", so I'm looking at the BMX, the 4X.
4X is for you, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that thing is so good looking. I love the gray. I'm big like
well, that integrated number plate, I think, really got everybody, because there's a rule in BMX. You have to have a side plate. You have to have your numbers on the side of the bike. And we've been strapping the numbers on for years. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Let me take a gusset, build it into the frame, make it, give it that sleek look I wanted. But it really has a lot of technological advantages to it as well. When the top tube is straight down like that, and I weld the chainstay or seat stay over the back of the rear axle, that makes the bike so much different. That bike is stiff, and when you pedal, it goes forward. It doesn't flex. It just goes forward. So there's a lot of thought into that. It looked good, and it turned out much better than we were hoping. But a lot of thought into the technological part of that frame, believe it or not.
And Toby, you said I'm going to tread lightly in what I say. Come on, man! You got some more dish. You got something up your sleeve.
No, I was telling East before you guys came on. It's like I got to be careful, because a lot of people kind of follow what I do, and not that I get inspired by a lot of people. And I don't think I'm the guy who's creating all this stuff. It's just I try to get it to market. So if I start to say things, people start to listen. And there's a lot of things in the market today that are very influenced stuff that we've done in the past. So I just don't want to let the cat out of the bag what we're up to. The long-term goal of this, I can say there's eBMX coming. It's going to come big. And it is putting together the organization. The insurance is a big deal. How do we get insurance companies to insure something like this? And how do we utilize the 330 tracks that are on in America now and get people on board, especially when a lot of them are saying, no, my kid's going to pedal. It's like, no, it's to say he's pedaling, but he assists the kid. Now that quad becomes those rollers become a quad, right? That kind of thing, And so it's going to come. And I see the tracks changing to adapt to this. And if we don't do it as a bicycle company, I think the moto guys are going to get this. They're going to get this client, or they're going to get this consumer. They're going to be the motor track. And I think that the bicycle guys shouldn't want to lose these, because there's a whole division of that. We have Sarons and we have all the other stuff going on, right? We have electric motorcycles coming down the pipe, but no one's really pushing eBMX the way I want to do it. So I think there's enough right there to tell you.
All right. Well,
what do you think of Chimera?
Tony, we got it out of him. We got it out of him a little bit.
All right.
It's
Well,
eBMX. So how we do it is funny. Is I don't really know what the bikes will be like in 5 years. I really don't know. Because we're going to have to build one, and then we're going to have to go try it. Then we're going to have to, we're going to have to escalate this whole engineering thing or this whole process. And I can tell you one thing: an e mountain bike does not work on a BMX track. So,
why is that?
When you pedal for the jumps, it just shuts down. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah. Well, Bosch has a race motor that actually continues giving you power when you stop in certain situations, which is interesting.
Other people are thinking like that too.
Yeah.
So.
Have you ridden the Chimera BMX bike?
No, I have not.
It's
the titanium one.
Yeah.
I saw him last week at Sea Otter. I didn't get to ride it, but he was at Sea Otter buzzing around on the thing. But
he'll be at Electrify Expo probably at the end of May.
Right.
So in Long Beach.
Right.
And they're pretty fun. They're really scary too.
Really I heard they go pretty fast.
Yeah. I got to half throttle. That was all I
really.
Yeah.
I'm just looking it up. Chimera BMX CHIMERA, 35 miles an hour, 3,700 pounds, max power 3,800, 0 to 30 in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
What the heck?
It's quick.
That's not for a kid.
No.
No.
This is cool. I've never seen this, Tony.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun, and they were at Electrify last year for sure.
What a crazy drivetrain!
Yeah, that's his thing. Yeah, he's got something special there for sure.
I'd hate to get stuck in that drivetrain.
Yeah,
on a crack.
Yeah, dude, that looks like you're going to lose a finger with that thing. Highest power to weight ratio on the market. And this is to your point, Toby, about you have your trade secrets. You know what's in the sauce. You know what you're doing. But something like this, are you kind of hyped on this? Where it's like rising tide lifts all ships.
No, I liked it. I never talked to the guy. I did see him. I wanted to talk to Sea Otter a few weeks ago, but no, what he's doing is different than what I'm doing. How's that?
Yeah.
So
it's throttle based too, so it's not pedal assist in any way.
So that's
really?
Yeah. So it's all throttle, and so it's just different. What I think we should be doing in the future. I think we're trying to separate bicycles from motorcycles is the goal. To have two different platforms. I don't think we have the resources to chase motorcycle guys. I know they're coming the other way, and we're going to come up this way, and somewhere in the middle we'll meet, I guess, someday. So, right. So.
Yeah, I'm just, when it comes to like EV, it's just cars, bikes, micromobility, all those things. It's when something like what you're doing, like you said, you've seen Stasic, you're refining it, you're making your own, you're doing Syndyt. Chimera, I don't know how you pronounce it, Chimera. I don't know what solution that's really solving. You know what I mean? It looked like a fun BMX. I mean, there's so many different e-bikes. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, I don't know. And this thing can't be cheap. It looks really expensive.
No, it's about $5,000.
Yeah. See, that's where I'm just like, right. The book critique. Yeah. That's where beautiful looking bike, but damn, $5,000.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know where we're going to wind up 5 years from now. I just know that no one's there yet. We haven't really explored it. I think we'll see a lot of different machines over the next few years if people want to jump in and try to do this whole thing. And where's it going to be in 5 years? And what's it going to look like? Is it going to look like a regular BMX bike? Look like a motorcycle? I don't know until we get them on the track and try them. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sick. This Chimera is really cool looking, but yeah, that price point is it's a lot to ask, So, but yeah.
But there's people out there that will pay it.
Absolutely.
There's guys out there buying $12,000 e-mountain bikes.
True. No, this is Toby, thanks for, chiming in and applying all your, like you said, your racing knowledge, your passion for it. And Tony is, he's a fan, and I am now too. And obviously this is cool. It's $1,200, so $1,200, $1,300, $1,500, depending on the size frame. The Syndyt eBMX. That's really cool, man.
Yeah. We're excited about it. We're looking forward to, the years ahead of us for sure.
Yeah, no, it's and I'm right down the freeway from Malcolm Smith. So when I go in there, that's just an absolute candy store. Just, again, all the different manufacturers, the jet skis, the motorcycles, everything. It's really cool, man. It seems like you're making some noise in different ways. You're sending it, bro.
Sending it. That was the idea, right? That was the idea.
Yeah. Well, Tony, anything else you want to add here for the ledge, Toby?
No, I think you covered it pretty well.
Yeah, no, thank you. Well, of course, Tony, thank you for joining me here and helping curate this awesome exposure of Syndyt and Box. And of course, thank you, Toby Henderson, for coming on Electrify News, the Expo.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
man.
Toby.
All right.
Thanks,
All
Jarod.
right, take care. Thanks, Toby.
Cool.
Syndyt. Thanks for listening to the Electrify podcast, brought to you by the creators of Electrify Expo. Be sure to catch full video episodes on YouTube at Electrify TV and follow along on social media for daily clips and more.